Well, hi there, Ricardo. How are you doing? Right, this is going to be really interesting. We are going to do a double streaming, a double live stream. So that is really interesting how this is going to play out. Yeah, I'm curious. Let's see. But guess what, guys? You can call in now, live here, either by going to the link in the description, the meet.jit.si/Rico Max Research, or with one of the many phone numbers that you can see right here on your screen. So if you want to join the conversation, call in live. Oh, one second. I just realized that apparently there is that the people cannot hear you on my side. So why is that? Technical difficulties. You are not muted. No, you are not muted there. Guys, can you hear Rico? I apparently not. I cannot. You're not muted. No. No. I can hear you, but they are not. I think that's on your end. Well, maybe before that it's not going to be too boring of a show. Let's continue this somehow, and until Rico has figured this out. What is going on in Bitcoin? As always, it is a crazy ride. It is a yeah, it is a fascinating up and down. As always, the market is crazy, as it's good that it is this crazy. And of course, as always, the Bitcoin Cash, the Bcash debacle with Roger, where the fallen Bitcoin Judas. Uh, he has now really made this immense and really amazing public statement, which I'm just going to play here because it is just so juicy. Oh, I don't think. Maybe they heard that. Well, apparently, regardless if you heard what Roger was saying here, they are doing an ICO now. They're doing an ICO on what he called the Bitcoin.com property, whatever that means on a intellectual website, right? So Ricardo, what do you think about this property and the ICO that Bitcoin.com is now doing? I can hear you. Continue.
Jumping in the live chat right now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I do want to recap on the whole thing. So Roger Ver is launching an ICO. It's going to be for a website, and I believe you have to buy it through Bitcoin Cash, if that's correct, or you just have to have Big Cash in order to get it. It's just going to be an airdrop. I don't know if he's airdropping it through Telegram. Can you hear me now? Just
Yes, perfect. It's working now.
So that's what I don't know if this ICO is just supposed to be to maintain a website, or if I just saw this and I was doing my own research on Roger, and what comes out to me about the whole thing is I tweeted about it. I just am sad because I felt like maybe Roger, there's so much he can bring to the entire space, and I feel like he's taking on not the most positive role, and at the same time, it's very scary to think of what this could mean to the market, the free market. There could be other people that are doing nefarious acts with other types of fiat money, investing into Roger or Bitcoin Cash. And I don't know, these are just me being a skeptic, but I would rather just stay out of meddling with anything that's going to be tampered with, or can just be inflated, or just be put into other ICOs. That's when it just starts to become a mess. All right. And I personally don't think it's the best thing to be doing. Let's just, I don't know. I think the market's finally getting it stopped tumbling. Sorry, I keep stuttering. And now it's on its hands and knees and it's crawling. And I think the price after this 8 months has been, it's been a rough bear market, and we'll see. But I personally think we're at a really good place right now. And we don't need these negative inflation or ICOs that are being airdropped into the market right now. We just don't need that, personally.
Well, and you might think that, why does Bitcoin.com need to do an ICO? I thought that Bcash already was their ICO. I thought that was the entire point, to print a new coin with the Bitcoin.com brand, main, and issue that, and use that to show their own concept. I thought that was good. Why do we need another one?
Well, I mean, you need more, and it's always about more. It doesn't matter if it's gold, or it doesn't matter if it's fiat. People always want more, and more isn't what we need right now. What we need is adoption and a price that we can all agree to. And once we get to that, then regulation is going to take forth. Then you'll see electronic exchanges being created, EFTs. So it just prolongs the entire process, okay? And that's the game. That's the game of politics. People want to shuffle along. They want to, as Thomas says, kick the can. I don't want to kick the can anymore down the way. Let's not play the game of inflation. Let's not play the game of control. Let's move past that. And I think this generation realizes that, and the next generation doesn't want to keep being stuck in a loop. And that's what fiat is. It's monetization. It's a force. It's money that's being forced upon people, and every single country is now paying each other's taxes. Everybody's just broke. It's like the Game of Thrones. We're all just broke, and it's not because of the people, not at all. It's because those are in power, the money that have monetized the entire system, the IMF, the World Bank, everything from Creature of Jekyll Island, like I had just said at the beginning, from the book that we previewed, previously discussed last Wednesday on chapter 1 in the first 6 sections about fiat. And I know we'll be doing the show next as well for my audience. We don't have a set date, but we're looking forward to it. But either way, guys, the egg is cracking, the shells are breaking off. We don't need somebody trying to recreate the inflation system. It's not what we need in this market. No one wants this internationally, except for those who are kicking the can, trying to figure out how they can control us.
Well, absolutely right. It's this inherent inflation and money creation culture, this fiat culture, that is the fundamental cause of many flaws you might see in society. And of course, what Roger is also saying here is that he's going to do a airdrop with this ICO token whatsoever for Bitcoin.com to all the Bcash holders. And this is, of course, now his nice attempt to pump up Bcash even more, in order to, or with the anticipation for the airdrop for his ICO tokens for Bitcoin.com, which is hilarious. And the big question, of course, is, are you going to buy Bcash to get that ICO airdrop Roger was talking about? And either, yeah, it's free money, or nope, it's an exit scam. Ricardo, what is your answer? I for sure know which is mine.
Okay, well, my personal answer is we have seen a pattern of backdoor exiting. We have seen the drop of Bitcoin Cash at maybe a long time low, and let's not point fingers, but let's just say, let's not repeat the same things that don't work. You can't give one person all this power. And I don't want to base it off somebody's history, but I want to base it off somebody's future. You know, what are they trying to do? And I don't think he's addressing the idea that maybe he made an exchange that wasn't the best in his picture. Maybe there have things been in the past that have happened and look suspicious. But nefarious is nefarious and evil is evil, and we don't need that anymore. We need something we can all be united behind. And if, you know, I personally think if he's going to do this, just change the name, just change it to something else. You can call it the Vercoin. I don't really care, but just give people clarity and a little bit of transparency. Even if the window is really foggy and broken, at least let us be able to know that it's not named Bitcoin Cash, because people in the new system don't understand. In fiat, people are so scared of going to something else, so of course they're going to go to something called Bitcoin Cash because it sounds better. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really too worried, honestly. I just feel bad. It's kind of sad, personally. And I wanted to give you a screen share, if that's all right, on a quote that I on my on Twitter that I put out a little bit earlier, and it says, I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
Okay. I've given hope up on Ver. Personally, I always thought he might be able to turn this around. And yet it's like the fiat story. Just make more. Roger, inflation is theft. If you're doing this, it's apparent. It's eventually going to happen. So, but we'll see. Time will tell. And I don't want to put too much negativity into it, but at the same time, we need to be transparent in this day and age, especially when each person is their own bank. We don't need inflation another way. So we'll see. But in other lights, I think that the market is doing really great. And this is something we don't talk too much about on World Crypto Network, but on my channel, I do mention a little bit about alts in the beginning of my first season here on YouTube. So what do you think about this whole airdrop, actually, before we close out and talk about alts?
Well, first let's see what actually here the 407 people voting said. If they are going to buy Bcash now because of this airdrop, and the answer is no. It's an exit scam. Well, that sucks for Roger and Jihan. Nobody's gonna buy Bcash. That's quite unfortunate. But well, I mean, you know, what do you have? What can you say? Yeah, I mean, you know, I think the debate was much more contentious in the early days of Bcash. You know, they really did have a quite compelling argument. But now with the hundreds of forks that have happened now after that, and with the clear evidence on pretty much every side that the Bitcoin is giving approach might seem better and more practical right now. Plus, this immense amount of bugs in the Bcash network, it is clear, I think, on every market level that Bcash is not quite. Do you have a screen take that?
Yes, I do. And when you get into alts, it's a fun game, but it's also gambling. So I want everybody to know that this is just like when you step up to the app shoots or when you step up to the games of poker, you are literally gambling, and it can be. Oh, we have a caller? Oh no, we don't have a caller. Sorry. Okay, so I like to look at the top 10, and I like to mess with the top 20 sometimes when I'm doing research. And are we looking at the screen? Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Okay, sweet. You can see that screen share?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Oh, sorry, I'm not putting this up. 1 second. Voila. It's I've got my screen going on, and then I've got
Too many screens.
yes,
Too many
many
screens.
screens.
I just want to remind you guys to please hit the like button if you like this. And more importantly, if you want to join the conversation, either go to the live chat, we're going to have an eye on that, or call in by visiting this link up here that is also in the description down below, or calling one of these numbers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so, oh, this is the wrong, that's my, well, we can look at the, this is just on TradingView, which is really good for analysis. It's really good for making your own charting, but I wasn't going to use this one. I was actually going to use for just to look at the markets. I like to look at coin market cap, believe it or not, but that's because I think it's got a lot of really good tabs you can use to go into each coin, and I explained this a little bit in my channel. The fact that you can click on the coin market cap and you can see each the change in the 24 hours. You can see the volume, and it literally you can change it to any way you like, whether you're using euros, Australian dollars, New Zealand, Canada, or US or USD. But let's look at the top. I go from the top 10. I go 10 backwards, and IOTA has always been interesting to me. It's got its own platform. It's doing its thing, and if you take a look at a lot of the other ones, they're not as Yoda's a little bit newer. Cardano's a little bit newer as well. But if I'm going to be doing anything on changing to investing, I don't like to hold on to any of the alts too long. I literally don't like to hold them on for more than when I'm trading, that's it. And I get in and get out. I don't try to hold on to any of these things. I don't hodl alts. I don't hodl alts. I hodl Bitcoin, and that's all. And I don't mess with Tether. I just don't believe in it. People go to it to maybe hedge a bit of money. I just don't believe in Tether. But then you've got your exchange tokens like Stellar, Litecoin. I don't even like to say it, but XRP. And XRP is a good one to keep in your mind because it's all about competition. And if there's any of these that are coming out in hardcore for Bitcoin, it's going to be XRP because it's who it's funded by and who it's controlled by. Whereas you have Ethereum, which is, with what's going on with Ethereum, I don't like to steer people away from using it if you're going to get into coding, but I don't think it's found its place yet. And obviously, we're looking at it in euros, so Max, for you, this is normal, but for the US dollars, you just got to bear with us. Let's just switch it over. I don't know. Are you investing in any of these or using these for getting a little bit more Satoshis?
Oh no, not really. I mainly just have Bitcoin. I don't have too much time for the alts, to be honest.
Yes.
Although it is, it is a interesting market. I had some alts before, but to be honest, it is too much time, too much hassle to have this on, to have several coins in the portfolio. I can barely keep up with what is happening. It's the amount of innovation in Bitcoin itself is staggering enough. And to be honest, it's the only coin that really has an application with a use case. Bitcoin's killer app is money, and it's a super useful money. And that means that I will, or that I am using Bitcoin as a money on a pretty much. So I do need this. I do see this more as a use case rather than as an investment. Oh no, wait, Rico, you're muted again on Google Hangouts. We need to stay unmuted here as well.
Oh, here we go.
Thanks for letting me know, chat.
Thank you, guys. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so I was just saying, you guys, is don't go and trade if you don't know what you're doing. Bottom line, for those of you who didn't hear on World Crypto Network, on my channel, they heard you guys. But it's better to just hodl your Bitcoin if that's what if you're into this for that reason. But if you are going to do some trading, my best advice is to think about it as you're going into a poker tournament for like a game. Don't look at it as a means to live unless you really know what you're doing and you have that kind of money and liquidity and time. So at the same time, realize that it's gambling. Okay, and there's going to be some very heavy people doing the same thing, meaning they've got a lot of money to throw and that they're waging it against you. You've got bots who know what they're doing with algorithms and fluctuation. That's what they're watching. So it's like anything, you can game anything, but at the same time, there's loss. So it's not professional advice. I want to tell everybody that as well. And any of these projects, you have to be able to walk away. Okay, you have to be able to leave. Okay, if you've got 200 euros, $200, $20, 10 euros, whatever it is, you step up, you lose, you leave. You have rules set in place before you go out, and know that by doing it, that's your due diligence, that you literally are realizing what you're doing is gambling. So be ready to lose it no matter what it is. And don't exchange on fiat with alts. Look at it and Satoshis, because that's what you're exchanging it on. Okay, that's kind of a lot of info, but yeah.
Yeah, right. But that's also what I'm always thinking is. And if you do, then the entire portfolio is based on this now muted again on Google Hangouts. We need to stay unmuted on Google Hangouts. So if we have these, if you base your entire portfolio on fiat money, that means that you have that your entire calculation is skewed off to some inflated mess, basically. And what else can you price your goods or your portfolio in? You could use something like the S&P 500. That might be something that hedges quite good against inflation as as your benchmark. But here, you have quantitative easing and all other government meddling with these markets, which further misdrew your possible benchmark. Gold as well is no longer used as a liquid good, so it's not really a good comparison for our money. And now with Bitcoin, though, we might for the first time have this universal unit of account, or potential unit of account, that fulfills all of these aspects of a high quality and functional all our other investments and services in. And I do think that all these altcoins and the trading of these altcoins against Bitcoin is one first signal that we see that the market will slowly adapt Bitcoin as its not just store of value and medium of exchange, but then ultimately full unit of account.
Well said. Absolutely. Yeah, when you're in the crypto space, if you're trading even from alt to alt, it's being aware of what you're trading for, what you're trying to buy more of. Even when you're going down and losing in the value, or you're going up and you're gaining in value, in the end, if Bitcoin goes down, it doesn't really matter which alt you have. If you're trading it from alt to alt, you're still going to go down in price and value. So it's a good idea to have, obviously, your cold storage completely locked away. It has nothing to do with your trading, and have a little bit of trading. Something I do like to recommend, which I found very helpful, is if you look up coins that are very steady and they're not very volatile, that's going to be your best bet, because that shows you it's a bit more obviously stable, and you're going to have better results, hopefully. But anything is willing to crash. So, excuse me one second. Can you hear me? Okay, cool.
Fine.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So yeah, absolutely. The unit that you're trading on, you need to be aware of what you're trading on. It's going to change whether you're trading to get more Satoshis or you're trying to get more, hence, let's just say Ethereum in this manner. So in my position with BCH, I just don't trust it. I can't trust something that's going to have airdrops in it when no one knows, because as a person that's holding something that's going to be where the founders, pumping airdrops, it just scares me. And I think that should wake up people up to what they're holding. When Jimmy Lee left Litecoin, I was like, okay, what's happening here? And then you saw Litecoin Cash come out, and I was like, oh, this is great. I just got some Litecoin Cash, but I didn't have to do anything about it. And I thought, I'm not going to do anything with this because it's kind of like Bitcoin Cash. If those people who had gotten it forked and given to them, they didn't do anything with it, and then they later on bought some more Satoshis or whatever, something else. The thing is, in the end, it doesn't matter what you're holding. And when it comes to alts, it could drop and pump at the same time. But like I said in the beginning, Bitcoin is going to be the one that it's really traded against, unless you're exchanging it for fiat. And in case if you're trading your alts for fiat, well, that's a whole different type of trading. I guess that's what you're doing. So looks like we've got a. Go ahead.
It's really interesting how this discrepancy of the low quality in current altcoins, that it feels more like a spam attack, that you have so many different alts that are just trying to grab your attention, trying to get you to move your Bitcoin, which of course carries risk in replay transaction, replay protection and loss of privacy and anonymity. So there are costs involved, and maybe this is just a scheme to get some of your Bitcoin, maybe in some way. But then on the other hand, we have to realize that this current technology, as we have it today, has to be differentiated from the projects that is being used with. Only because Bcash is such a debacle doesn't mean that all forks are, per definition, complete disasters. They can be useful, and they can be used in creative and curious ways. But we're further joined by Niko from Maximal Liberty. So what's up, and what are your thoughts on the Bitcoin forks and spin-offs?
Hey guys, I just wanted to drop in quickly. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Loud and clear.
Yes, sweet. This is one of my favorite topics, of course. I'm a big I used to be a big fan of fork, not so much anymore, because the kind of like the novelty wore off pretty quickly, so to say. But just like you said, Bcash is kind of like an edge example of how things can go wrong, and when the shit can how the shit can hit the fan. And I don't really envy the situation the guys over at Bcash project put themselves in. I wouldn't want to be the guy who sold their Bitcoin for Bcash and then get screwed by that. So that is very unfortunate. But I do think that forks serve a very important role as being a road of exit from kind of like if we can't reach a consensus, then this is one way to make it known to people, and then do whatever you want. And that's pretty much free market, and that's what we're after. So I like the idea of forks. I just don't like the idea of theft. That's all.
Oh, absolutely. I do agree, and think also that these forks are a fundamental tool in Bitcoin, and it is one of its most beautiful features is the competition, is the ability to fork it off, the completely open source and free code. You can easily do that. You can do that ever since January 9th. the third 2009. So this is something that was inherent in Bitcoin, and this means that as soon nobody is stopping you. And this is, fundamentally anarchy. You are your own sovereign. You are a sovereign individual. And whichever rules you choose, you can play by these rules. So, Rico, how do you see these forks as means of leaving the system?
Okay, well, the thing about forks is I think everybody should be allowed to create their own cryptocurrency if you want to do it to help some kind of project, or you want to help with organization of information on a blockchain. By all means, I'm not putting anybody off on that. I think that's a great idea. I personally think in the future, within 20 years, everybody's going to know how to write their own blockchains. It's going to be the new age of the internet on your own time. But as of now, we're not there yet. And so I think when it comes to investment, like Niko said, I don't like theft. And it's just the system is so delicate right now that when people are taking advantage off of the noobs and off the people that are not really aware of what's going on, people are going to invest into Bitcoin Cash, and they're going to lose money. And I feel like we just need transparency. That's all I'm asking for. I mean, you see all these other projects, and any of them can leave. But I mean, like, when you invest in anything and you trade into anything and those people leave, that's your own fault. And I have lost money. Okay, I'm not going to say I've lost money. I've lost money on different platforms and invested in other projects. And I thought some of these altcoins are really going to do good, and they're the bottom, not bottom 50, but like top 50 now instead of top 10. So things happen. It's okay. It's a whole new changing market. But at this point in age, when it comes to ICOs, initial coin offerings, if you're not writing it out the code yourself and you're new to the platform, maybe stick with Bitcoin. And if you are trading, you know what you're doing. And happy hunting. I think that's awesome. This week I'm testing the waters out, and my first move was away from Bitcoin Cash. I'm going to be honest. And Niko, I really appreciate you sharing information. And we all talk amongst each other offline, and that's really good to have your friends as well trading next to you, because this is a changing market and we need to stick together. It's unified. So yeah, I'm excited to see the markets as Bitcoin gets adopted and things happen. It's going to be really exciting, and we'll see what really stands out and what floats and what things go belly up as well.
Yeah, so Niko, please elaborate here on this entire debacle with Bcash and this ICO with Bitcoin.com and the airdrop. What the hell is going on, Niko?
Yeah, this is wonderful. Like, I mean, you can't write this stuff up. Like, Rothbard is literally having an ICO for a Bitcoin.com website. I don't know how it's actually going to work, but it sounds to me like he's trying to pull off the most desperate exit scam ever. And I really feel sorry for him, because he could have been a great person in Bitcoin, and he chose to use his time and effort this way. And it's quite unfortunate what is happening now. But of course, at the same time, hilarious, because it keeps getting worse and worse, the whole Bcash thing. And I don't think the Bcashers themselves can, they're pretty fractioned right now, because on the other hand, Greg Wright, fake Toshi, is taking his own direction on the project. He's pushing zero confirmation, and I think he's the first person in the world who managed to not be liked both by Bcashers and Bitcoiners equally. So that's an unfortunate turn of events for fake Toshi as well. And then on the other hand, we have Roger Ver, and we have Jihan, who apparently, in the light of the latest Bitmain IPO numbers, it does seem like at least Jihan sold all his Bitcoin for Bcash. So I don't know what else is there to be said about that. I mean, they're obviously trying to IPO to gain some, maybe maybe last final pump for Bcash to make some kind of an exit at least. So if I was, and I do intend to trade this, but of course this is no financial advice, but I would expect there's another irrational pump, one more, maybe for Bcash, and then ride it all the way down to $1 where it belongs with BitConnect and other scams.
Boom. Wow, well said. I just wanted to jump in and say that really quick. Sorry.
Oh, by the way, Rico, you need to unmute yourself on Google Hangout. Yeah, great points that you bring up, Niko, and it is interesting really to see how heavy all these all this Bcash debacle plays out, and it now is in the several generations of several independent hard forks have already happened, and it's only been a year, not even a year, a bit over a year, and we've already seen now several hard forks and splits in the communities. So I think it is a clear sign here that once you set the precedence of forking off, once you give the people the opportunity to say, hey, here, leave, as soon as it is clear that there is this exit door and that people can and will freely choose to leave, it loses most of its appeal, because you realize that if you leave, you are going to be the odd one out. You're going to exit this network that has already accumulated so much capital and network effect. And you have to provide a extremely good service in order to justify such a move, which in most cases will not be there. So do you guys think that the inherent opportunity of leaving the market will in the long run strengthen Bitcoin? And is it okay that it might therefore then continue to happen?
I think it's awesome. It's like no more piggybacking. It's like whenever you see those really small dogs and their owners are taking them out, and they are like yapping and making a lot of noise when there's a bigger dog. And then if the owner gives some slack on the leash, suddenly they don't have anything to say. The dog realizes that they can't possibly make it on their own in the cruel world. And I think it's the same thing with a lot of forks. I mean, yeah, everybody's free to try. It takes probably less than half an hour to fork your own version of Bitcoin. Will you accrue the network effects and all the development effort that the Bitcoin enjoys? No, of course not. So there is something about that, and it doesn't matter. Like you can fork off your own altcoin or even your shitcoin, and you probably find some success with that. But trying to sell it as a Bitcoin, I don't think that's going to work anymore. I think Bcash did us a big favor in that. It actually showed what it means to go against the king, and that's not a advisable plan at all.
Yeah, my thoughts. I don't think that something should try to undermine such a special type of technology. I mean, it's not needed. We're not there yet. I feel bad. I wanted to play a clip of Roger Ver that I had seen that really I thought was a great picture of Roger Ver when I first had seen this. It's a clip that you had seen, Max, earlier on Roger Ver on just some research that we were doing on, the Federal Reserve and the creature from Jekyll Island. But I don't have it pulled up, so maybe I'll play it at the end of the clip, or the end of the video. But it's pretty much Roger Ver talking about Bitcoin, and he's saying how Bitcoin is really bad for the fiat monetization system. And he's right. It's absolutely right, because it doesn't allow inflation. It's a controlled number of coins. It's got its own mining algorithm and fail safes. And so I think that it's just odd to see him jump ship and go to the other side. And it's not necessarily completely bad. I think it's good that he forked off and did his own thing, but at the same time, change the name. Don't fork and use the same name, mate. That's all.
Oh yeah, it really is interesting that Roger had a past of being really active and quite positive, I would say, in this ecosystem. Yes, you might not agree with all the actions that he took, obviously, and but regardless, he has onboarded many people and, of course, invested in a lot of the infrastructure that has then on in later stage effects really helped with the spreading of Bitcoin as the asset and money eventually. So absolutely, we are thankful for that. But this doesn't mean that that he has a free pass to do whatever he wants. It is still that he is being held up to the utmost scrutiny and rigor, and that we do not trust his reputation, but that we verify each and every of his actions, and not just his, but anyone's, on being true and valid. And if they are not, which, well, oftentimes it turns out they are not, then we have to call them out. But that is how such a self-governing network works. So, Nico, do you think that a system like Bitcoin, this system of self-governance, can defend itself against such an attack, quote unquote?
Well, of course, because in the free market, people may choose the best possible option for themselves. And, well, of course, people have the right to choose wrongly as well. And as I think we can agree that maybe Roger made a little bit bad choices. Like I remember when I got in the scene, I learned a lot from him, and he was called the Bitcoin Jesus even back then. It wasn't that long ago, maybe 2 years ago, one year ago, I don't know. And he had a choice to do something, build something. But I think maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to speculate, but he might just be, since he's a self-made millionaire and everything, maybe he just got bored and he wanted some action there. But yeah, what was your question again? I forgot again.
Regarding the self-governance in Bitcoin and how this anti-fragile system takes care of such, let's say, threats or intrusions.
Well, yeah, like it's about the free market, when people can choose not to follow these clowns, and people realize that they do have this power to fork off or not fork off, or follow the strongest leader. So I would say it's self-education first, and that's our job as well, that we are doing, bringing out the information for people to find. But the people have to walk through that door by themselves, and they need to have that drive from the swallowing the red pill, I guess. So that's a whole other process that we can aid with.
Yeah, if I can jump in, I think it's, in a sense, like you said, the first thing you said is people can, if they want to use it, then they're going to use it. But it's all about the peer-to-peer, who is using it, who's mining it. And this is what it's all about. I mean, every single thing's going to have, every single altcoin, every single blockchain, they're going to have their own way of mining it. The chips they're using, all the way to how they're mining it, whether it's certain people have the access to the private keys, to the genesis blocks for each of the coins, or the original code that can be altered. So I think that it's all about the peer. It's all about the market. Who's going to be the one that who's going to be the one that uses it, you know? And Ethereum, anybody can get on. That's easy as. That's why I think people should go, and there's a website you can literally just make your own Ethereum crap coin, whatever you want, just to see what it's like. And it's, you know, if you're really investing your time into this, it's good to kind of get your head wrapped around what the stuff really is, and coding, and being able to fork off of things. I know that on one of my episodes, I showed all the forks that Bitcoin has gone through, and it's massive. And Ethereum's it's even crazier. So it's all about who's going to use it. You know, if people are going to use Litecoin, then they're going to use Litecoin. If they're going to use, and I think Bitcoin right now is an investment. It's going to be a big asset in the age of technology when it comes to exchange, you know, for anything, whether it's plane tickets or a house, you know, or a Lambo, if that's what you're trying to get. But at this day and age, I think people will start to see, like I said, when the market turns, what sticks. And if you're just using it to make money, then it's just a boat to get to the big boat. It's, you know, it's a means of ways to get more money, I guess. But if you're really investing in these projects and you're going to go work for these projects, then it's a completely different thing. It's a completely different ballgame. So, and some of these people who aren't into it at all, it's just FUD. It's just funny. And you have to be able to walk away from it, I think, in the end, because it's kind of like stocks. You know, there's somebody owns this, they have to push for it to work, and Roger is pushing hard. He is an example of somebody who knows how to work hard for what he wants, and let's just say he's motivated. I'm just going to say that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He is motivated. And talking about how it is like gambling with stocks, of course, let's talk about the company that is trying to issue stocks, which is of course Bitmain and their IPO. And we have here an article on Samson Mao's webpage, the Lion's Den, especially about this. Oh, look at this, a 7 and 2, perfect card for poker. The Bitmain IPO and technical challenges. And basically, during the bear market, the best 2 years, Bitmain did not roll out any new chips or mining hardware to update its core Bitcoin mining product line, which can be fatal for a chip company in its fast-growing industry. This article takes you through the twists and turns of the path the king of hash rate took to climb from a startup to the top of the industry before its product line fell behind in the face of other uprising competitors. Can Bitmain be reborn by branching out into the AI field and launching an IPO? Well, maybe not. Probably not. Let's see. So, Niko, what do you think on the recent, revelations on the Bitmain IPO debacle, and especially, how they just screwed up on a massive scale?
Right. If I can just go back to the previous topic just a little bit, because I forgot to talk about the very important part of the Bitcoin being anti-fragile, and this kind of like a perfect example of a starfish organization, really, and the power of decentralization. Like when people have the power to walk whichever way they want and use whichever protocol or version of software they want, then you do have these systems that when they experience an attack, somebody wants to make the network, let's say they can somehow make it useless, use spam attacks or whatever, and people can walk away and do the community can stick together and they can choose otherwise. So step away from the bullies and take away the power. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, the Bitmain IPO is really I guess I shouldn't be surprised if people are buying it, based on like all these shit coins that people go crazy over. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. But it is a little bit unsettling to think that people are actually buying this, like even more so than any shit coins. Like you said, Rico, trading shit coins can be fun. It's exciting, but this is like I would call it stupid to get into that. For sure. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, yeah, trading shitcoins, that's pretty much it. You're literally trading shitcoins. You don't know what's going to happen. I remember when I actually used to believe in salt and like things like XMR, like Monero. And that has all, I've shedded that because you have to be able to walk away from alt shits, whatever you want to call them. And it's an investment, it's like penny stocks. You just walk away. It's not, like I said, it's like when you walk out of the gambling casino, you can take your chips with you, yeah, but how far are you going to go before you're going to have to turn those into money? maybe you'll keep them for a long time because you go back to the casino all the time. But if you're not living in Las Vegas or you're not living near the casinos, then you're going to take that and turn it into fiat, right? Or if you can, Bitcoin. But they're just chips, you know, they're not real unless you are working for the company and you are literally coding for them, or you are using it like, that's just, I don't know, like a transfer token like Dash, for example, if you're using maybe a platform online. So at this point, if you're not using it, then it's not really much to hodl onto 100%. These things move very fast, faster than Bitcoin, because they're on the Bitcoin, they're on Satoshis. So you have to remember, everybody, that these companies are ran by somebody, some single person or group of people. So there's an initiative, and it's make more money, bottom line, and become stronger in the field of cryptos. And nothing at this point has even come close to Bitcoin. So let's let the evidence speak for itself, I guess.
Exactly, and I do think that it is a grave misunderstanding to, and mainly because of the website CoinMarketCap probably, is to convolute Bitcoin with all the other projects that are out there in this market, because in most of the cases they are not in the same ballpark. They are not competing in the same area. Bitcoin functions as a true peer-to-peer money. And you know, if you then on the other side have something like Ripple, which is well, not really sure what that shit show is all about, but well, you know, fundamentally it really is a, you know, a technology that is not really comparable to what a money is. Same if you have something like Steemit. Yes, might be a cool idea to combine a social media network in a decentralized fashion, if you want to call it decentralized. Um, but you know, it's not really the same as Bitcoin. And putting that all together in a unreliable you know, attribute such as the market capitalization might really misroute who the true, let's say, competitors or peers in the market are for Bitcoin.
Yeah, we don't know where this market's going right now. And something I say to my audience is, after a consolidation, after a massive bear market, things disappear, and prices, you never see it hit that price again. I don't know if we'll ever see a Litecoin for $300. Maybe we'll see it in a month. But at the same time, who's still on top, and who's have the most universal scalability? You know, who are the ones companies are actually using, and which one's called digital gold in the end? But obviously, we're a little bit biased here. This isn't just to be like Bitcoin's the best, because there are other coins you can use. I wanted to just touch base on exchange tokens, like for example, Binance Coin. I use Binance for one of the exchanges that I use because it has coins that I like, and I like Binance Coin because it's not too volatile. And I've told people on my channels and my shows to look for the ones that are not too volatile and seem to hold themselves very well through consolidation and bear markets, because when it goes back up and Bitcoin starts to pick back up, it's a great time, if it hasn't been really, you know, shaken up in the price, that you can buy back in some Satoshis if you want, or you're sitting pretty still and you don't feel like you've lost too much, especially if you know about taking in some ROI, some investments, or some gains, and just yeah, it's shitcoin city. You know, it's like you never know what you're gonna get, and they're meant to pump. All right, they're penny stocks. There are some bigger ones that are worth a little bit more, but with the ones that are worth more, you know, it's a high risk, high rewards, just like the banks. And you know, don't do what they did. Don't lose more money and then have to inflate it, quote unquote, and then get, you know, this whole airdrop thing is just, it has a bad feeling to it. Okay, let's just say you had something and you're like, I'm just going to airdrop all this extra stock to my company, you know, and people are like, well, where are you getting all this money if you're not, you get it, pulling it from your own pocket, and what are you trying to do with it, and where is it going? It's going to be an exit scam within 24 hours, 48 hours, a month. And I could tell you some projects that have lost, but I think everybody in the chat knows the projects that are crap. And I'd like to see something in the chat. I'm sure people know. Yeah, and even things like Steam It, you have to do your research. Look at the white paper, look at the GitHub, read who's behind it, and talk to your community. It's all about peer, literally. This is the new banking, but it's online banking, and it's peer-to-peer controlled. So we are the HR department. We are the security. We're the ones who have to check the miners are working. I mean, this is our system. So the best line of security is you guys listening, and every single person, like, you know, reporting as well.
Yeah, actually, the volatility is good for day trading. So, if you want to day trade the shit coins, then you probably want the volatility, because that way you can make some gains during the day. But of course, if you are so-called fundamental trader, if there's such a thing in shit coins, maybe you buy coins that you think are going to be or are undervalued at that time, and then you wait. But that's takes a lot more due diligence and work. So a lot of people don't do that, and a lot of people try day trading. In my experience, and most people do lose money in that, because it's not super easy. You have to watch it all the time, and you basically, if you go out for a smoke or go to the toilet, you might just lose some money if you're not following the market carefully. So that's another price you pay for so-called easy money. So there's no free lunch.
Exactly, right. And then further, the problem is that what are you going to use? If you use technical analysis, you use the past to predict the future. That doesn't really work, right? And then on the other hand, if you have fundamental analysis, but honestly, who is able to judge the fundamental value of these blockchain systems? I have no clue what the fundamental value of Bitcoin is. I would argue almost nobody does. And if you then really want to make a sound judgment on the technology, the cryptography behind each of these altcoins, you would have to come to conclusion that most of them are just technologically completely invalid and not tested, with many major flaws. And I don't think that many people either care and have the ability of making a sound judgment on whether these tokens are of technological rigor and use case directly. But Niko and Rico, what techniques do you use to value if such an altcoin is actually legit, or do you just trade whichever because you only care about the volatility and not the asset itself?
Well, I only trade to get more Bitcoin. So for me, it depends. Sometimes if I feel like watching the chart for like a couple hours, then I might do some fast-paced trading. But mostly, I try not to buy into shitcoins anymore, because I've lost a lot of Bitcoin in doing so. And it's almost always, in my experience, better idea to just buy and hold Bitcoin. It will because in the coins that the longer you hold, the bigger your chances for those gains, and the biggest gains happen during long periods of time, not short periods of time in Bitcoin. So and also you don't have to do anything, you just need to hold. So really, I can't highly recommend trading, but it is fun if you like gambling like I do. I definitely like gambling, and if you take it as such, then it can be fun. But do remember to only play with the amounts you're comfortable losing in it in the entirety. You can even play around with leverage and stuff like that. It's way better than going to the casino, in my opinion. But yeah, I wouldn't treat it as a serious investment strategy. at least if you play with the whole stack, which I know a lot of people do, and I will highly advise against that.
Yeah, something is a good safe is if you hodl, you're not playing with your savings account or your wealth, and when you go to gamble, it's a risk, you know. And how risky do you want to play with a market that's like you said, Max? You're literally trying to predict the future. It's so volatile. It's on a 24-hour scale. There's big people coming in. I mean, there was a time when you could literally see the pattern of somebody dropping and buying in some big numbers back in just before May. And, you know, when you're riding the surf, as I like to call it, when you're out there, you know, trading, day trading, or night trading. I actually day trade at night because of the markets that are open. It's hard work, meaning in a sense you have to be able to relax and realize that, yeah, you can't just step out for like an hour like Niko said. You have to know what you're doing. And I think small gains is better than forking over a bunch of Satoshis and maybe making a little bit on the side if you're lucky. So yeah, I wouldn't take my savings account and just, you know, throw it around, but you should have a little bit. If you're going to do trading, it's good to have some Satoshis on the trade, whatever trade you're using, whatever market you're using.
So, Niko, what are your thoughts on the approach of having a broadly diversified portfolio? Maybe having the top 50 coins according to market cap in the portfolio.
I don't think you can hedge I don't think you can hedge crypto with crypto, to be honest. I think it's too correlated with Bitcoin. So I guess you could try to spread around in Bitcoin and maybe some like top 5 altcoin, but I think they are pumping, like in my experience, whenever Bitcoin pumps, also the top 5 or top 10 pump because people are already kind of like quote unquote diversifying, which it's in my opinion quite a useless act. Of course, if you hit the correct spot, then you know you know something, like usually if you know something that the market doesn't know, then you can obviously profit from that. But other than that, I wouldn't count on it.
Yep, not professional advice, guys. So we're all just like you guys. And Max, have you ever day traded? Have you ever taken some Satoshis out?
No, not necessarily day traded. Not that. I have never really been too active of a trader. I did own some stocks for a couple years in the traditional incumbent markets, and I had some alts that I did some fundamental research on, but that was more of let's say a long-term view, and you know, long-term according to crypto, but absolutely not a day trading intraday um, approach. But it's interesting, you know, seeing the you know, working at Deutsche Bank and seeing the possibilities of having a day trading and even a high frequency trading in this market. It's crazy because it really comes it comes down to milliseconds, and you know, knowing some information sooner than your competitor, even by the fraction of a second, is worth a lot of money if you can front run that trade. So I'm always curious on how the information here can be it can be abused in order to profit. So Niko, do you think that that because Bitcoin is open source and the information is distributed so freely, that there is less quote unquote insider trading, whatever that means?
Yeah, whatever that means, we would have to define insider trading first. I mean, it's really difficult. Like, for example, the Coinbase case where they surprise launched Bcash trading, and then the price pumped, and there was like, it was kind of weird. Like, obviously people knew that was going to happen, and how do you differentiate yourself as a private person and as a company employee, and plus there's no way for people to know. You can do it totally anonymous if you have this information, and it's a game. Like, how would you play it? I think the incentives are there, and I think definitely insider trading is the norm. And yeah, and there's this kind of like wash trading, which is another kind of thing where you place fake orders to try to, for example, trigger other people's stop losses and make gains that way. Happens a lot because the volatility of the market and the market cap is so small, so you can make it volatile by just by a couple whales cooperating together. Even one whale could move it and profit that way. I mean, I've seen it happen all the time. So definitely be aware of the manipulation that is going on, and also be aware of the different games and the incentive structures in place.
Yes, it's a game. Absolutely. I wanted to look over at the coin market cap top 20, and I wanted to maybe just do some shout outs on some that I've traded with and done really well with at the time, and what they kind of stand for. Do you have any favorites, Niko, of the altcoins do you like to trade with?
I have like maybe 10 projects in my bag right now. Some of them not so great, but there is one project that I'm pretty excited about. It's the Raven coin, which is one of my bigger holdings, and that's kind of like one of those long-term bets that I think that can pay out. It's an open source project. It's a decentralized one. There was no ICO. Nobody paid vast amounts for anybody to list it in any exchanges. It's for security tokens, which I'm working on a project that is going to use those as well, NX Solar with Max. And for that, I'm also interested in the platform where it can go. And it's basically a copy of Bitcoin. So there's a lot for me to like about that project. So that's at the moment one of the main ones, and another one is Cardano that I've been in since December, which I feel like has potential in the future, but also a long-term bet.
Yeah, I'm also a trader of Cardano, and I have found really good results with it as well, because it's something you can trade frivolously and feel not so bad if you lose a little bit along the way. Raven, I'll have to look into that. I haven't talked to anybody about trading. I've literally just done my own research, and I always look at the top 20, and it's quite interesting how they've all kind of shifted. Monero is no longer in the top 10. Dash, you've got Ethereum Classic, which was like top 5 for a while. Neo, wow, it's just dropped down. But when these things drop, if you know what they're going to do, and you can kind of read, no, like I said, this is not professional advice, but if you like patterns and you know numbers and patterns and Fibonacci retracements, it's not super science, and it's not. I'm not telling you to go to do this, but some of these things you can kind of foreshadow if you're literally watching them day by day and staring at them, and you know you've got your voodoo doll next to you. No, I'm kidding. But I like some of these projects. I know Neo is really popular, I think, in the Japanese market. Dash is pretty big in Europe. Monero is really big just for privacy. Ethereum Classic is a fork off Ethereum. So, and like you said, because you're way more into the actual projects than I am into when it comes to trading. You actually are invested in conversing with these people, where I'm not really into coding or anything. It's all new to me, but I look at the projects and who's using them on the social network, I guess you'd like to say, or who's talking to who amongst the owners of these companies. So that's my take on it.
Oh yeah, that's my way. Also, I formulate normally an opinion on the project. The first opinion, and often it sticks based on like Twitter writings and responses, and what kind of people who I trust what they are saying about the projects and what drew their attention, and then kind of like formulate my own opinion and then go into the project more in detail. So definitely that's recommendable, because you can save a lot of time by having this trusted network of peers that you kind of know who to trust already. Of course, still you have to do your own research, but it definitely helps and speeds up things.
Yeah, I get excited when I find some research, or I find because a lot of these companies that are getting big, they're gonna invest in other companies as well. So it is this growing space, and we'll see who's going to be the next Amazon, blockchain, or who's going to be the next exchange token, and who's going to invest in. There's a lot of applications online now that are looking into cryptocurrencies and using them, and I think maybe in a sense of optimism, I think Bcash is trying to do that, and something that I looked into with vendors and online vendors and applications. People using different altcoins for perhaps that is going to be something you want to also look at when you're looking at these tradings and markets. Don't read into the FUD too much, but literally just go and see who these people are meeting with. Look them up on Telegram if you have a way to get into good telegrams with people, and use your community to make decisions. It's literally when you're doing trading and day trading, it's like never ending. You have to like take the 3-month period and just work, and you live it, you eat it, you breathe it, and then even you got to take breaks obviously and go get some fresh air. But at the same time, it's in your blood, and so it's good to do as much as you can to make these decisions and make more sound decisions based off of your own research. It's sitting in front of you. You just gotta create your own path, I guess you'd say, in this infinite land of this new age of digital exchange. Do you want to look in the chat maybe and see what people are talking about? I've seen some funny things. Oh, Max, we're not getting you. There it is.
Oh yeah, get lost in talking of the amazing Bitcoin. Typically on it, but I highly recommend this digestive read on what is all happening here in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and specifically Bitcoin Core version 0.017 is quite around the corner. So interesting to see that, and we got advancement in the BIP 151. Which is really nice. This is going to help SPV clients and further tweak the peer-to-peer network protocol in layers that will further advance Bitcoin as a money. And of course, as always, the Bitcoin Stack Exchange is a amazing resource just to go there, find interesting questions, and see how others have answered it. So I can only suggest you subscribing to the Bitcoin Uptech newsletter because it really is a highly valuable resource in general for Bitcoin. So Niko, anything that you wanted to bring up before finishing up here?
No, not really. That newsletter looks interesting. I need to check that out, definitely. But yeah, thanks for having me again, and it was nice having a discussion with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me as well, and Max, to do this co-host. I appreciate it. If anybody wants to check out the blog that I'm doing, go to ricocoinreport.wixsite, wixsite.com/2018, or send me a tweet, Rico Report on Twitter. You can check out my content. So this will be the first co-host. And Max, thank you so much for having me for the conversation. Yeah, cheers. And it's always great talking to you, Niko, as we do consensus. The thing is growing and going, that whole community. So it's great to work with both of you guys.
Oh, absolutely. I hear that there is in November the amazing Helsinki blockchain conference going on. So, Nico, would you just want to speak a bit further about what is going on there, what you're planning there?
Oh, sure. So yeah, I'm the chairman of Finnish Cryptocurrency Association Consensus, and we are together with some other parties throwing together this what we want it to be the biggest blockchain event in Finland so far, and it's still under the radar. We haven't really released it. We are working on the program at the moment and the speakers. So if anybody is interested in talking there, you can just contact me. Maybe drop me a line on Twitter, Omnifin, double N at the end. You can also find my stuff on YouTube, Consensus with a K. That's the association channel, and my personal channel is Maximal Liberty. And yeah, looking forward to having the biggest event in Finland for sure. And hopefully we can get some good talkers there as well.
Oh, fantastic. And yeah, spreading the word of Bitcoin anywhere and everywhere. That's the goal. That is fantastic. Guys, I thank you very much for your support, not only for giving us the thumbs up and sharing the video, but also for your donation here to our Tallycoin, the Purism Fund, for our goal to reach, to raise 0.3 Bitcoin to get the amazing Purism laptop and maybe even the phone, open source software and hardware. I want to thank the 6 donations so far, specifically here the last couple of 0.0075 and 0.001. That is fantastic. Thank you very much. And isn't Tallycoin just an amazing site? So I really like that. Guys, thank you so much for watching this show here again off the WCN Bitcoin Talk Show. Unfortunately, no call-in today, but maybe next time. Guys, you can find out more about me here on Twitter at Hillebrand Max. And this has been it so far here at the World Crypto Network. And see you again on the next show. Bye-bye.